After my husband died in battle, only my younger brother-in-law and I were left to rely on each other for survival. Though my younger brother-in-law was mentally impaired, he was tall and well-built, with a sturdy frame that couldn't be concealed by his thin clothes. In my previous life, I was lonely and isolated in my secluded chamber, unable to control myself. I took advantage of his mental disability and persuaded him to engage in shameful acts. Little did I know that his foolishness was due to poisoning, and he was not my husband's biological brother but the eldest prince of the current dynasty, who had been abandoned in the countryside. After regaining his memory and identity, the first thing he did was to make me, the woman who had ruined his reputation and lacked moral integrity, pay the price. A cup of poison sent me to my death. In this new life, I dared not provoke this demon again, instead focusing solely on caring for his every need, hoping that once he regained his identity, he would spare me out of mercy. Little did I know that one night, my younger brother-in-law crept into my bed and grabbed my hand. "Sister-in-law, I'm in pain. Please rub me." Chapter 1. The eldest prince was about to be crowned crown prince, and the empress had already selected the eldest daughter of the left chancellor's family as his official wife. "You, a widow, have broken the rules of a woman, shameless and immoral, taking advantage of the eldest prince's poisoning and amnesia to seduce him. If this gets out, what will people say about the eldest prince?" The voices of the palace maids still echoed in my ears. The poisoned wine burned through my intestines, causing a searing pain. I screamed and woke up from my dream. But the scene before me was not the dark and terrifying dungeon, but the small courtyard of the Lee family where I had lived as a widow for many years. I was confused. Wasn't I poisoned to death by the eunuch sent by the eldest prince? How did I end up here? It wasn't until I felt the hands around my waist that I suddenly realized I had been reborn. Reborn before the great mistake had been made. Looking at my younger brother Li Shu, who would become the future eldest prince Xiao Zishu, sleeping peacefully beside me, I hurriedly kicked him off the bed. The fool was sleeping soundly with his thumb in his mouth, caught off guard by the fall, his head hitting the footstool with a thud. He opened his eyes, blinking his big, watery eyes, his little mouth puckering as if about to cry. Why did my sister-in-law kick Ah Shu? Ah Shu hurts so much. Wah wah wah. In his previous life, Li Shu had been abandoned at the age of 8 and adopted by the Li family. Now he was only 17. Due to poisoning, his intelligence had regressed to that of a 3-year-old child. I, however, was lusting after his body, pretending my feet were cold. I coaxed him to sleep with me on the same bed. I said my feet were freezing, and the fool tucked my delicate feet into his chest, letting my toes rub against his chest and abdomen. The fool knew nothing of love, only gazing at me with clear, innocent eyes and acting spoiled. Sister-in-law, Ah Shu is so strange. Ah Shu feels so uncomfortable. And I pressed him beneath me, my hands roaming over his bare chest, breathing softly into his ear. "Where does it hurt? Tell your sister-in-law, and I'll help you." In my previous life, I had seduced him in this way, coaxing him time and again to do all sorts of shameful things with me. The bedroom, the backyard, the kitchen, the back mountain, the fields. Every place was filled with the traces of our happiness. The fool acted without any rules or restraint, bullying me until my legs were weak every day. My body was so sensitive that even the slightest touch felt like a bug crawling over me, causing an unbearable itch. I couldn't bear it and kept clinging to his neck, begging him to go slower. The past cannot be undone. The burning sensation of the poisoned wine still lingered in my body. Now that I see this living demon again, how dare I harbor any lustful thoughts? She hurriedly dressed herself and rushed to distance herself from him. "Ah Shu, it's all my fault. I'll take you back to your room to sleep." Li Shu rubbed his head, which was sore from being hit. Looking confused, But you said your feet were cold and asked me to warm them for you. Didn't you? I'm not cold anymore. I can cover myself. It's getting late. You should go back soon. She pulled Li's shoe off the ground and pushed him out the door. Ignoring his cries outside, she leaned against the door, pressing her hand over her racing heart, and warned herself. Wang Qinghe. This time you must not make another mistake and end up as a tragic ghost. In my previous life, I married the eldest son of the Li family. However, on our wedding night, he was conscripted into the army, leaving only me and his 14-year-old brother, Li Shu, to rely on each other for survival. Li Shu was a fool, said to have had his brain damaged in a fire when he was young, with the intelligence of a 3-year-old child. Fortunately, although Li's parents had passed away early, they left behind some meager assets. I supported myself through embroidery and farm rent, barely managing to get by with my mentally impaired younger brother-in-law. I had hoped that once my husband returned from the battlefield, we would finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. Little did I know that just 3 years later, news arrived that my husband had died on the battlefield. At his funeral, I cried until I fainted. Relatives and neighbors all pitied me, saying I was so unlucky. At 19, I would have to spend the rest of my life as a widow. They told me to take good care of my younger brother and that if I ever faced any difficulties, I could turn to them for help. I agreed to everything and saw them off. But in my heart, I thought, they talk so nicely. But it's not them who have to be a widow. I couldn't help but cling to my husband's spirit tablet and coffin, drowning my sorrows in alcohol. In the first half of the night, my mind was filled with memories of parting with my husband. In the latter half of the night, drunk and overcome by desire, I reached out my sinful hands toward his mentally impaired younger brother. Brother's debt. Brother's repayment. What your brother owes me, you must repay. You little brat. Your elder sister has raised you for 3 years. It's time for you to show some gratitude. Don't move. Let your sister-in-law hold you, or you won't get dinner. The foolish younger brother struggled as I pressed him against the coffin lid. Sister-in-law. Don't. You're being so strange. I pulled at his pants while wrapping my arms around his neck and kissing him. What's so strange? Your brother is watching. Isn't he? He didn't object. My dead husband lay in the coffin, his eyes tightly closed, expressionless. Now that I think about it, he must have hated me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ended up drinking poison in my previous life. Seeing the village chief leading the young men of the village carrying his coffin in, I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. Daliang, how could you die like this? How will my younger brother and I survive? Let me go with you. Others only think I'm grieving for my deceased husband, but they don't know I'm mourning my own tragic past. After all, we shared the same bed countless times. How could he be so heartless after regaining his memories? It's as if the man who once lay beside me in the love nest, intertwined with me all night long, wasn't him at all. What's wrong with being a widow? When I was with him, I was still pure. Thinking this, I couldn't help but feel resentment. Looking at him, so foolish and ignorant. He's actually a heartless betrayer. At the funeral hall, Li Shu saw me crying so bitterly and joined in the wailing. When he saw me glaring at him, he looked at me in confusion. Sister-in-law, why are you looking at me? Naturally, I was thinking that rather than letting you poison me with a cup of poison in the future, it would be better to pour the poison down your throat while your mind is still clouded, sending you to join your brother. But the words that came out were, now that your brother is gone, there are only the 2 of us left in the Li family. How will we manage in the days to come? Woo-woo. Though a fool's mind is slow, his words are surprisingly soothing. Now that my brother is gone, Ah Shu will take care of you. Ah Shu will chop wood, carry water, sweep the floor, and wash clothes for you. I won't let you lift a finger. I, Wang Qinghe, was orphaned at a young age and lived a life of dependency. At around 16, I was sold by my heartless aunt for 20 taels of silver to Li Daliang, the eldest son of the Li family. However, my appearance and figure were unmatched in the village. My aunt waited for the right price before selling me to Li Daliang, who was known for bringing misfortune to his family. In my previous life, if it weren't for Li Shu's good looks and his obedient and sensible nature, he chopped wood, carried water, cooked meals, and managed the household chores with such efficiency, I wouldn't have looked at him. A fool. Twice. Now that I think about it, he was just a fool who lost his parents at 10 and his older brother at 14. And had to live with me, his older sister-in-law, who taught him all these things. Look at how he swings the axe to chop wood. He clearly has martial arts skills. Not like an ordinary peasant. Moreover, he wasn't just feverish, he had been poisoned, which caused his mental impairment and loss of memory. How was the poison neutralized under my watch? How did he regain his memory and identity? Could it be that someone from the palace had already found him and, to avoid alerting the authorities, had secretly helped him? Thinking of this, I felt a chill run down my spine. Looking at the mourners at the funeral, each one seemed suspicious. I dared not harbor any harmful thoughts and resolved to live with him as ordinary uncle and niece, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. Erlang, don't be sad. Your brother is gone. But you still have your sister-in-law. Your sister-in-law will treat you like her own brother. Li Shu, upon hearing this, sniffled and looked at me. Is that true? Sister-in-law? Can I sleep with you tonight? I'm scared to sleep alone. Startled, I hurriedly covered his mouth. What nonsense are you talking about? Fortunately, there were many guests today, and almost everyone in the village who was related by blood or marriage had come. They were gathered in the courtyard, chatting loudly, so I couldn't hear clearly. Otherwise, Li Shu's words just now would have caused the elders of the clan to arrest me and have me buried with Li Daliang. Li Shu didn't know what he had said wrong, staring at me with his innocent big eyes. To cover it up, I whispered a few words to him. Ah, Shu, don't shout. It's not time to eat yet. Be a good boy and kneel there to keep watch over your brother. Don't speak. Later, your aunt will give you a chicken leg. Okay? Li Shu had wanted to ask me why I was covering his mouth for no reason. But upon hearing about the chicken leg later, he forgot everything. He clapped his hands and said, "Good. Ah, Shu wants chicken leg. A Shu is obedient. A Shu won't make a fuss." I patted his head. A Shu. Be good. But in my heart, I cursed. You heartless man. In your past life, you were so cold-hearted and unfeeling. Now you know how to act cute and charming. That night, after finally sending off the mourners, I closed the courtyard gate and planned to heat up the food and have a quick meal with Li Shu. Li Shu suddenly hugged me from behind, slamming me against the old elm door. His hot breath and deep, magnetic voice echoed in my ears. Wang Qinghe, you have such a cruel heart. After all these years, you just say you don't want me anymore and abandon me like this. In your eyes, am I not even worth as much as a dead person? Hearing these words, I felt a chill run from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. Li Shu, what did you just call me? In my previous life, I raised Li Shu from the age of 14 to 17. I knew his temper and nature inside out. A fool so stupid he couldn't be any more foolish, yet so obedient it broke your heart. But now, the person behind me exuded a cold, domineering aura, filled with oppression. He was a completely different person from the foolish boy I knew during the day. And the foolish boy had always called me auntie. The only one who would call me by my full name was Xiao Zishu, the unattainable crown prince. But I clearly reincarnated. In this life, I haven't done anything wrong yet. Why is he acting like this? Could it be that he reincarnated too? The thought flashed through my mind, sending shivers down my spine. The memory of the poisoned wine from my previous life replayed in my mind. No! I can't let this happen again. I can't die. Though terrified inside, I feigned anger on the surface. I blurted out, "What's Wang Qinghe? Do you dare to call my sister-in-law by her noble name? You little brat! Where did you learn such vulgar words during the day? You dare to speak to your sister-in-law like that? How did I raise you?" Then I beat him senseless. Li Shu was dazed after being hit a few times. How dare you hit the king? Just from that title. I was certain that this man had been reborn like me. In my previous life, he had been granted the title of king after returning to the palace. A year later, he was proclaimed crown prince. I died just before his coronation ceremony. Just thinking about how he not only betrayed me and married another woman but also poisoned me with wine makes me seethe with hatred. I grabbed a broomstick nearby and swung it at him. What prince? I'm the queen mother. Your brother is gone, I'm your only relative. An elder sister-in-law is like a mother, you should respect me as you would your own mother. How dare you lay a hand on me? What kind of behavior is this? You! Stop it! Ah! Stop hitting me! Sister-in-law! Ouch! It hurts! At first, Li Shu relied on his status to act superior. But when he saw I was serious, he tried to grab my hands in anger. Wang Qinghe, have you gone mad? What sister-in-law and younger brother? I am your husband. If he hadn't said that, it would have been better. But once he did, I was even more furious. In my previous life, after he regained his status as the eldest prince, he brought me to the capital as well. He claimed to be my benefactor, having raised me, pitying my youth and widowhood, and my tragic background. So he took me into the prince's mansion to care for me. But behind closed doors, he spent every night in my room, engaging in all manner of intimate acts with me. At the time, I was captivated by his body and never imagined what the future would hold. I thought he must have had his reasons for not giving me a proper status. So I didn't argue or cause trouble, just waited obediently in the mansion every day. Who would have thought that what I'd be waiting for was a cup of poison? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. So I slapped him twice across the face. What kind of husband are you? The one lying in the coffin at the funeral hall is your husband. What kind of person are you? In my previous life, I treated Li Shu extremely well, pampering him with every whim, never once disobeying him. How could he have suffered such humiliation? He stared at me with wide eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. Li Shu's eyes were those seductive peach blossom eyes, filled with tears when he looked wronged, melting anyone's heart. You hit me? You actually hit me? Cute. I made him so distracted he couldn't think straight. Actually, if it weren't for that cup of poison, most of our time together was quite pleasant. But a murderous grudge can't be forgiven so easily. I glared back at him. What are you looking at? Look again and I'll hit you. The next moment, Li Shu suddenly bent down and picked me up, carrying me toward the house. You want to hit me? Then let this king show you who's stronger between us. Li Shu carried me straight into the house. I clung to his shoulder, struggling fiercely. Li Shu! What are you doing? Let me down. Li Shu whispered into my ear, gritting his teeth, keep screaming, and I'll wake the whole neighborhood. Let them all see how this younger brother-in-law bullies his widowed sister-in-law. Then we'll see who's the one with no face. I was so angry my eyes turned red. You're crazy. You have no shame. Li Shu sneered, when I was out of my mind. It was you who seduced me every day, using every trick in the book. Now that I've given you my body and my heart, You dare call me shameless? That was in a past life, it has nothing to do with this one. Don't talk nonsense. When did your sister-in-law ever ask for your body? As we spoke, Li Shu had already carried me back into the house, thrown me onto the bed, and leaned down to kiss me on the lips. It's not too late to take it now. That kiss made my heart race with fear. What does this guy want to do? In my previous life, he had lost his memory due to poisoning and was deceived into giving me his body. Now that he's fully conscious, he's actually climbing onto my bed on his own. Am I crazy? Or is he crazy? Seeming to notice my confusion, Li Shu's eyes flashed with a hint of resentment. Standing by the bed, he began to undress. A muscular yet not overly exaggerated body appeared before me. Broad shoulders, a narrow waist, 8 defined abs, and a clear, flowing six-pack that disappeared beneath his waistband. It made me feel dry-mouthed and mesmerized. Sister, look at me! The word sister made my body go weak. In my previous life, every time we were at the most passionate moment, Li Shu would call me sister. Looking at the massive pectoral muscles before me, I didn't just want to look, I wanted to touch them. In my previous life, what I loved most was pinching his chest muscles. Li Shu's chest muscles were large and firm, and pinching them felt so satisfying. Cough. But now, I was a newly widowed woman in mourning. A good older sister-in-law raising her mentally impaired younger brother-in-law alone. How could I do such a thing to him? I closed my eyes in shame and anger. What are you doing? Put your clothes back on. If someone sees us, we'll never be able to explain. Li Shu grabbed my hand and pressed it against his chest. Sister, pinch me. Why won't you pinch me? You used to love pinching me. I also liked it when you bit me. Bite me again, please? I tried to refuse, but he held my hand tightly. Images from my past flashed through my mind, and my hand involuntarily squeezed his. Realizing what I had done, I pushed him away in fear. What are you touching? What's wrong with you today? You're calling yourself Your Majesty and calling me sister. Are you even sicker now? Starting to talk nonsense? Saying that, I placed the back of my hand on his forehead. You're not even feverish. Li Shu saw that I refused to admit it, and his expression darkened. Wang Qinghe, are you still pretending to be ignorant? Your reaction when you touched me just now was exactly the same as before. In this life, I'm still pure. When he says before, he must be referring to a previous life. This dog of a man not only reincarnated like me, but he's been haunting me like a ghost ever since. So I definitely can't admit it. In the previous life, it was this very person who devoured me completely and then killed me with a cup of poison. The foolish young man knows nothing of this. So I feel guilty and naturally give him a few kind words. If it were Xiao Zishu, would I even bother to be polite to him? Li Shu, your brother has just died, and you dare to bully his widow? Don't you fear his spirit in heaven will not spare you? Heaven's justice is clear, and its wrath is terrifying. Be careful that a bolt of lightning doesn't strike you down. Li Shu saw that I refused to acknowledge him and his eyes turned red. At this point, you still refuse to acknowledge me? Wang Qinghe, how can you be so heartless? Has your conscience been eaten by dogs? Hearing this, I was filled with anger. Who is the one with a heart of a wolf and the lungs of a dog? It's true that I took his body, but I also raised him for 3 years, taking care of his every need. If you don't want to be with me anymore, just give me some silver and send me away. Why hurt my life? Who is the one with a wolf's heart and a dog's liver, harming their own brother's wife? How did your brother treat you in the past? Have you forgotten? No. I see you're truly mad. I'll go find a doctor to examine you. Saying this, I got up from the bed and tried to run out. Li Shu seemed to be amused by my anger. a mocking smile curling at the corners of his lips. He wrapped an arm around my waist and pulled me back. I landed on the soft bed, spinning dizzyingly. The next moment, I saw Li Shu untie the belt around his waist, bind my hands, and suspend them from the bed head. Since you won't be good, don't blame me. The scorching breath on my neck made my body tremble. You monster. What do you want to do? Li Shu lowered his head, his high nose gently brushing against my neck. Bite you. When he said this, his voice was filled with resentment and teasing, almost like a child's whine. His lips and tongue lingered inch by inch across my skin, leaving behind silver threads and traces that made me blush with shame. If my sister won't acknowledge me, I'll bite her until she does. Sister. Say it out loud. You like this too, don't you? Say it. Say you want it too, don't you? Hearing the low whispers in my ear and feeling the touches that made my heart race, I cursed silently. This guy must have been a brutal lover in his past life. No matter how hard I tried, I could never get a single honest word out of him. But I just love teasing him. And when he can't take it anymore, he calls me reckless and punishes me harshly. How? In this new life, has he become such a different person? Noticing my distraction, he bites my sensitive spot hard. Sister, you're not paying attention. Are you thinking about your brother while lying on my bed? I angrily shouted. This is my bed. Get off me. If you keep this up, I'll get angry. Li Shu raised her finger, and silver threads clung to her fingertips, making it too embarrassing to look at. Sister doesn't look angry, she looks like she wants me. Saying that, she leaned over and pressed me down, whispering softly, say you love me. Say you miss me too. 7. I looked at the man before me who had me so confused and lost, and my mind went blank. I have loved before, but I lost my life for it. How could I dare to love again? Gritting my teeth, I forced myself to remain indifferent and said, if you want to do it, just do it. Why all the nonsense? Just one thing, if you truly disregard propriety, I will report you to the clan leader. Li Shu heard this, but instead of getting angry, she laughed. She held me even tighter. My sister is always like this. So cunning. She wants it herself but won't say a kind word. I refuse to let her have her way. If you won't say you love me, we'll just keep this up. Don't think you can boss me around just to make yourself comfortable. When did this guy become so mischievous? I shouted angrily, kicking him with my feet, trying to make him get off me. Li Shu seemed to have found a way to manipulate me, only stoking the fire on my body. He's changed. He's changed. He wasn't like this before. In his past life, he was like dry kindling, ready to ignite at the slightest spark. After all this turmoil, he can actually endure it. It's infuriating. I called out to him, unable to resist his teasing, my voice trembling with tears. Good man. Ah Shu. Please spare your sister-in-law. Li Shu saw me crying pitifully, lifted my chin, and leaned down to kiss the hot tears from the corner of my eye. Sister, you're so delicate. When you left me, you were so heartless. Well, consider it a debt I owe you. Kiss me, and I won't torment you anymore. Reason told me not to kiss him. This man is so cunning. If I kiss him, who knows what tricks he'll pull to toy with me. But this body of mine, having tasted the sweetness of his touch in a past life, has been shaped into the perfect vessel for his pleasure. How could I resist his repeated teasing? I could only straighten my body, tilt my head back, and tremble as I offered him a kiss. But that rascal actually toyed with me. Just as my lips were about to touch his chin, he suddenly dodged, leaving me to fall empty-handed. Angry. I kicked him in the chest. Li Shu. Li Shu laughed and untied the belt around my waist. Sister. Don't be angry. I just think you look so cute like this. Here. Take it. I can't let my dear sister go hungry. That night, Li Shu and I clung to each other passionately, as if we were going to die the next day. We competed with each other, neither of us willing to give in. Li Shu positioned me in various ways. I love it when you're like this. So greedy. If only we could be more open with each other. I scratched deep marks into his back and body, biting his ear and grinding my teeth. Stop talking nonsense. This is all you're doing. Don't dare deny it later. Li Shu, how could I deny it? If you're willing to love me, I'd gladly give my life for you. Sister, will you come back to the capital with me? I'll petition Father Emperor and Mother Empress to make you my concubine. Li Shu's words sent a chill down my spine. The ripples in my heart instantly turned into cold sweat. In my previous life, I followed him to the capital and ended up losing my life. The person who brought me the poisoned wine was sent by the Empress herself. Even though I had been an obedient and dutiful servant in the mansion, she still wouldn't let me live. If she found out that Li Shu wanted to make me his concubine, would I even have a chance to survive? No. I must pack my belongings and flee at dawn. After a sleepless night, Li Shu and I fell asleep in each other's arms. Since I had already decided to flee, I no longer resisted him. I said all sorts of flattering words to him, coaxing him until the corners of his mouth curled upward. Even if I were to die in my sister's arms, I would do so willingly. Hurry up and fall asleep. I still need to flee. Poor me. My waist, legs, and arms ache all over. Finally, he fell asleep, and I was so tired I couldn't even lift my eyelids. It wasn't until I heard the rooster crowing outside that I suddenly woke up. I instinctively pushed away Li Shu's arm wrapped around me and tried to get up quietly. But Li Shu beside me woke up. He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and asked in confusion, "Sister-in-law, how did I end up here?" I looked at him, my heart filled with doubt, and a question mark slowly appeared above my head. Seeing that I was frozen in place, Li Shu reached out to pull my hand. "Sister-in-law, I'm hungry. Sister-in-law, make me something delicious. You promised that if I behaved myself, you'd make me something delicious." I looked into his clear, innocent eyes, which were smiling innocently, with none of the aggressive aura from yesterday. I cautiously asked, "Do you not remember anything from yesterday?" Li Shu scratched his head. "Remember what?" Then he looked at himself and then at me. "Sister-in-law, why aren't I wearing any clothes? Why aren't you wearing any clothes either?" All right. He's gone back to being innocent again. That completely unaware expression made it seem as though everything that happened last night was just a hallucination, never having occurred at all. But the marks on his body and the discomfort in his private areas couldn't be faked. There was only one possibility: the Li Shu from last night and the Li Shu now were not the same person. He was Xiao Zishu, who had been reborn like me. The one in front of me was the poisoned and mentally impaired Li Shu, originally in a hurry to flee. I secretly sighed in relief upon seeing Li Shu's state. If it were Xiao Zishu, I would never have been able to escape. As for Li Shu, the foolish young man, once I've handled Daoyang's funeral arrangements, I'll escape. I immediately said, "It was stuffy last night, you must have taken them off yourself." Then I kicked him with my foot. "You're such a grown man, still clinging to your sister-in-law to sleep. I told you not to sneak into my bed. Get out! Get out! It's time to eat, light the stove first. I still need to wash up, I'll be waiting outside." The silly boy is so obedient, he does whatever I tell him. He put on his clothes and pants and went out. "Hurry up. Sister-in-law. Aw Shu. Aw Shu. Go start the fire." Watching Li Shu's departing figure, I patted my chest, calmed my racing heart, and bowed toward the direction of the funeral hall next door. Daliang, I am your legally wedded wife. You heartlessly abandoned me, at least in the afterlife. Please protect me. Once Li Daliang's coffin is buried, I will leave the Li family. From then on, we will be as far apart as the mountains and rivers, with no connection to Li Shu. Who cares if he's a prince, a duke, or a crown prince? I don't care at all. Having made up my mind, I washed up and decided to go out and warm some food for the fool. After taking a few steps, however, I felt a sharp pain and couldn't help but curse Xiao Zishu in my heart. And I made a silent vow. Next time he tries to mess with me, he won't get away with it. In the days that followed, Li Shu looked like a dazed fool. It was as if the Xiao Zishu from that night had been nothing more than a fleeting illusion. At first, I was nervous, afraid he might slip back into his old ways. But after several days passed without any changes, I finally relaxed. Once Li Daliang's coffin was buried, I made an excuse to return to my parents' home. Ah Shu, your aunt has to go back to her parents' house for a while. There's food in the pot, and the steamed buns are enough for you to eat for 10 days or even half a month. While your aunt is away, you must behave yourself. Lock the doors and windows, and don't open the door for strangers. Understand? Li Shu's bright eyes stared at me for a moment. Then he nodded obediently. Yes. Go ahead, sister-in-law. I'll be a good boy and wait for you at home. Such a good boy. I felt reluctant to leave and ruffled his hair. After taking a few steps, I heard Li Shu calling out behind me. Sister-in-law, you'll come back, right? You won't abandon Ah Shu like my brother and father and mother did, right? Me, yes. Yes. Right. If I stay by your side any longer, my life will be over. From now on, we are no longer related, and there is no connection between us. I picked up my belongings and walked out without looking back. Once I left the village, I didn't know where to go. I lost both my parents at a young age. My uncle and aunt, under the pretext of taking care of me, seized the family's fields and ancestral property, forcing me to live as a dependent in their home. At 16, they married me off to Li Daliang for a dowry of 20 taels of silver. My dowry consisted of only a few sets of clothes and a few cotton quilts. Fortunately, Li Daliang valued me for who I was and didn't care about the dowry. Looking back now, when I first met Li Daliang, we were mutually attracted. He was truly a very good man. Alas, fate is cruel. In this life and the last, we were never meant to be true spouses. I can only use the compensation money he left behind after his death in battle to live a decent life, so as not to betray his kindness. That's right. When I left, I took Li Daliang's 100 taels of compensation money with me. I didn't leave a single coin for that fool Li Shu. Soon, the subordinates who knew his true identity would come looking for him. By then, he would have recovered from the poison and regained his senses. What wealth and honor would he lack? Thinking this, I found myself walking to Daliang's grave and drank myself into a stupor before it. Daliang, Daliang, although I, Wang Qinghe, have wronged you, my heart belongs only to you as my husband. If there is a next life, come sooner, and I will marry you again. We will be true husband and wife. After finishing this jar of wine, I will leave for a place where no one can find me. To hell with the crown prince. To hell with the prince. I don't care. Later, I fell asleep in a daze and felt someone cover me with a cloak and carry me horizontally. In my dream, I muttered, Daliang. The person holding me paused slightly and tightened his grip around my waist. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Li Shu. No. Xiao Zishu's cold and stern face. Sister-in-law, are you awake? Aren't you supposed to be back at your parents' house? How did you end up sleeping at my older brother's grave? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. How did he turn back into this again? I was panicking inside, but on the surface, I feigned anger. I'm your sister-in-law. Yet you did such a despicable thing to me. How can I possibly stay in the Lee family now? Your brother is dead. I have no connection to the Lee family anymore. Let me go, or I'll scream. I've never admitted to him that I'm reincarnated. Everything he's been saying is nothing but slander. Hearing this, Xiao Zishu laughed in anger. So, the heartfelt words I spoke to him a few days ago were all for the dogs to hear? Wang Qinghe, you heartless woman. Saying that, he leaned in, pressed me down, lifted my chin, and gently brushed his lips against my neck. Your body is so soft, but your heart is so hard. If you want to leave me, you can forget it. I've already spoken to the elders of our clan. They've agreed to marry you to me. There are precedents for a younger brother marrying his elder brother's widow, and the clan has already agreed. The auspicious day for our wedding is 3 days from now. Hearing this, I was completely stunned. What did you say? The clan leader. How could he possibly agree to such a thing? Just then, a cold voice came from outside. Master, all the arrangements for the wedding have been made. You really intend to marry Lady Wang? This is Shinchong, the skilled guard who served by Xiao Zishu's side when he was granted the title of prince in his previous life. Has he already regained his identity? Xiao Zishu's voice was stern and cold. Do your duty. I don't want to hear another word of nonsense from you. I was filled with doubt and fear, but dared not show it. I feigned panic and asked, Who is he? How did he end up in our house? And why does he call you my lord? Shu, who are you really? Xiao Zishu pressed me down and sneered. Sister likes to play games. Does she? Then Shu will play along until the end. For the next 3 days. You won't be leaving this room. Just wait here obediently for the wedding in 3 days. This bastard has locked me in this room, tormenting me day and night, demanding endlessly, leaving me so exhausted my waist feels like it's about to break. No matter how much I beg, he won't let me go. Several times, I thought I was going to die under him. Good man, please spare me. Rest for a moment. Aren't you tired? Ah, Shu. I'm so tired. I want to sleep. But that man was as energetic as if he'd drunk chicken blood, refusing to sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, I managed to calm him down, but his hands were like iron bands, gripping me tightly. He leaned against me and said, Sister, you won't run away while I'm asleep, will you? Tomorrow is our wedding day. After that, we will be true husband and wife. Will you love me as much as you loved your older brother? Will you treat me as your husband? Me, I promise. Go to sleep. Your men have locked all the doors and windows. Even if I wanted to escape, where could I go? This life. I can only marry you. Hearing this, Xiao Zishu curved his lips into a sweet smile and fell asleep on top of me. Once he was sound asleep, I mustered up the courage to kick him off me. The next moment, a dazed voice rang out. Sister-in-law? Have you returned from your parents' home? Why am I sleeping in your bed again? Why aren't we wearing any clothes? Again. It's changed back. No wonder Xiao Zishu hasn't slept for 3 days. Only closing his eyes to rest. It turns out he knew that once he fell asleep, he would turn back into the foolish Li Shu. Looking at the harmless Li Shu in front of me, I hurriedly said, It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Ah, Shu. Can you help your sister-in-law with something? There's a bad person outside who locked the door and won't let your sister-in-law out. But your sister-in-law needs to cook something delicious for Ah Shu. Pretend you're a prince now. Just like in the play your sister-in-law showed you. Be majestic and don't show any weakness. Tell them to open the door. But you can only say one sentence. Don't let them figure out what's going on. Understand? Li Shu heard that I was going to make him something delicious and immediately agreed sweetly. All right. He then walked to the door and shouted in a deep voice, "Open the door." Outside. Shinchong heard this and said in confusion, "Master. Didn't you say we wouldn't open the door until tomorrow's wedding?" I pinched Li Shu secretly. Li Shu winced and said immediately, "Stop wasting time. Open the door." Outside. Shinchong heard Li Shu was angry and dared not delay. Quickly opening the door. Seeing me holding on to Li Shu's arm, my body limp like a rag doll hanging on him, he assumed we had made up. Wang Yang. I waved my handkerchief at Shinchong and said, "Your master has told me everything. His background is extraordinary. Our wedding can't be handled so carelessly. Prepare a carriage for us. I need to go into the city to make preparations." Shinchong hesitated and glanced at Li Shu. But I glared at him. What? His words carry weight. But mine don't? I'm your master's wife. I deserve a proper marriage. Shinchong, hearing this, dared not delay. Soon, a carriage appeared at the gate of our small courtyard. Li Shu and I climbed into the carriage and headed toward the bustling city center. After getting off the carriage, I sent Shinchong to park it and forbade him from following us. Shinchong had no choice but to follow from a distance. I dragged Li Shu around, buying this and that, and bought him lots of delicious food and toys. The silly boy, with all the goodies, listened to everything I said, neither arguing nor causing trouble. Seeing that it was almost time, I pulled him into the theater and reserved a private room. Li Shu sat in the private room, rubbed his eyes, and said to me, "Sister-in-law, I'm tired. I want to sleep." I was using a large sum of money to bribe the theater owner to disguise me and send me out of the city by carriage. Hearing this, I stuffed a pastry into his mouth. "You're not tired. Don't say that." I had someone bring some strong tea and forced it into his mouth. "As long as you don't sleep, I'll take care of you. Whatever you want to eat, I'll buy it for you. Is that okay?" Although Li Shu was so tired that his eyelids were drooping, he obediently replied, "Okay." I waited a while longer. The theater owner had everything arranged. I pretended to need to use the restroom and slipped out the back door of the theater. As I left, I took one last look at Li Shu. "Xiao Zishu. This time, we will never see each other again. Not in life or in death." I boarded the carriage arranged by the theater owner and left the city. I fled to a rural area, rented a small courtyard, and shut the door to live in seclusion. On ordinary days, I only went out to buy vegetables and sell some embroidered items, never venturing out otherwise. I vaguely heard that the eldest prince, who had been lost among the common people for 10 years, had been found. His character and appearance far surpassed those of the other princes, and the emperor and empress held him in great esteem. Another year passed, and I heard that the eldest prince had led troops into battle, inflicting heavy losses on the enemy and achieving great military exploits. He was proclaimed crown prince of the Eastern Palace and betrothed to the daughter of the left chancellor. As I listened to the women in the courtyard chatting, I was embroidering a belly band for the newborn child of the young wife next door. Yin Yang. Yin Yang looked at the lotus flower and auspicious patterns on the belly band and exclaimed, "Wang Yang, your hands are truly skillful. Speaking of which, your husband has been gone for over a year now. Have you considered finding another husband? My maternal uncle has a cousin who is both virtuous and handsome. He would be a perfect match for you." 12. Speaking of Yin Yang's cousin, he is quite a figure in the surrounding villages. It is said that he returned from the battlefield, skilled in both literature and martial arts. However, Due to his duty of caring for his ailing widowed mother, he has delayed his marriage until the age of 25 and has yet to wed. 3 years ago, his mother passed away, and after handling the funeral arrangements and observing the 3-year mourning period, he began looking for a bride at the age of 28. However, he has high standards and doesn't find the ordinary women in the village suitable. Since Yun Yang and I are close friends, he thought of me. I wasn't initially interested. But when I heard that he had returned from the battlefield, I couldn't help but think of my eldest son. After some persuasion, I agreed. Yun Yang's cousin, Zhang, was tall and well-built, with a handsome face and thick eyebrows. He was also straightforward in nature. On their first meeting, he brought many gifts. He heard that you were a widow, young and widowed, and that your late husband had also been on the battlefield. Since he was your fellow soldier, I should take care of his widow. If you have any requests, feel free to make them. As long as you don't mind my age. I don't mind marrying someone who's already been married. Zhang's cousin was so sincere that it made me blush. Thinking that Xiao Zishu should be getting married to the legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's family soon. Why couldn't I find another suitable husband? I nodded and agreed to the marriage. Zhang Biao is not a reckless man, he acts with propriety and follows the rules. He sent a matchmaker to our home, brought the 3 letters and 6 gifts, and presented over a dozen dowry items. The wedding was set for half a year later. I selected the finest fabric to sew my wedding gown. I was determined to marry Zhang Biao and become a good wife and mother. One day, I went out to shop and returned home. I saw Zhang Biao coming out of my courtyard and exclaimed joyfully, "Heng Lang? Why didn't you call me?" But I saw Zhang Heng looking at me with a complicated expression. "Wang Nyangzi. I thought we were both unfortunate people who could support each other and live together. I never expected that you were actually the long-lost daughter of the Prime Minister's family. And your family has already betrothed you to the Crown Prince. I, a rustic peasant, am unworthy of you. Our marriage is off. The dowry will be considered Hang's contribution to your dowry. Take care of yourself. And may you find a good match. Live in harmony as husband and wife. And form a loving couple for 100 years. That's so touching. It's making me cry. But what on earth is a legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion? And what does it mean to be betrothed to the Crown Prince? Heng Lang, what do you mean by that? I don't understand. Zhang Heng pointed at my courtyard. Go inside and see for yourself. With that, he took his leave. I turned and entered the house, only to find Xiao Zishu sitting there. Not only did he brew my tea and eat my pastries, but he also lured away my fiancé. You, what are you doing here? Xiao Zishu snorted coldly. If I hadn't come, the Crown Prince's bride would have married that rustic villager. Wang Qinghe, you dare to elope from my wedding? Do you think I won't cut your mistress into 10 pieces? I shouted angrily, you dare. I and Heng Lang were betrothed through proper marriage rituals and have already exchanged vows. We are not lovers, stop slandering me with lies. As for you, aren't you already the Crown Prince? Married to the daughter of the Prime Minister's family? Why are you here looking for me? Xiao Zishu sneered, grabbed my hand, and pulled me into his embrace. Finally, you admit it. You said you didn't remember. Sister, did you come back too? 13. At this point, there's no point in pretending anymore. I coldly replied, yes. I was reborn. If it weren't for you, how would I have died? Xiao Zishu, you heartless, ungrateful person. You were so kind to me back then, but once you became Crown Prince, you turned your back on me, married someone else, and locked me up, forcing me to drink poisoned wine. What did I ever do to you? Wang Qinghe, if you didn't want to be with me, just let me go. Why go so far as to end my life? Xiao Zishu sighed with a smile. Silly sister. I love you more than my own life. I wouldn't even say a harsh word to you. How could I harm your life? You were buried at midnight. And I slit my throat at dawn to follow you. Imprisoning you in the dungeon and feeding you poisoned wine were not my doing. It was the work of my mother and the daughter of the Prime Minister. Hearing this, I froze, raising my hand to touch his cheek. What? You're dead too? Xiao Zishu grabbed my hand and kissed it. I intended to follow you to the underworld. But instead I was reborn with you. But my sister is so heartless, after giving me another life. She refuses to take me back. I struggled and said, even so, I am of low birth. How could I possibly be worthy of you? The crown prince? I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. I don't want to waste my life on you. Xiao Zishu said. No more. Before I came, everything was already arranged. The Wang family is my mother's maternal clan. She wanted a Wang family woman to be the crown prince's consort. Since you also bear the Wang surname, I'll send her the eldest daughter of the Xiang mansion who was exiled. Either way, she's a Wang family woman. Who becomes the crown prince's consort is all the same. Sister, endure this humiliation for now. Call the Wang family father and sister. Once I ascend the throne, I'll deal with these arrogant and presumptuous relatives of the emperor. Hearing this, I was stunned. What? You want me to become the crown prince's consort as the legitimate daughter of the Wang family? The Wang family's daughter will be furious. Xiao Zishu said. She is your sworn enemy. In my previous life, I killed myself by slitting my throat. But I didn't let her live either. I tortured her with over 3,000 cuts before allowing her to die. If she doesn't want to die again, she shouldn't have provoked you. Looking at Xiao Zishu before me, I was too shocked to speak. This man is truly ruthless and merciless. If he can treat others like this, won't he treat me the same way? As if reading my thoughts, Xiao Zishu covered my eyes and kissed my eyelids. Sister, don't look at me like that. Don't be afraid of me. I did all this for you. As long as you stay by my side, I'll never use the same methods on you that I use on others. Ugh. I'm even more scared now. In my previous life, Li Shu was abandoned at the age of 8 and adopted by the Li family. Now she is only 17. You, Xiao Zishu, who has been freed from the poison and regained your senses, are clinging to me like a ghost. On the day of our wedding, I left the Prime Minister's mansion as the legitimate daughter, while the real eldest daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion was so angry her nose was crooked. I tried to cause trouble several times, but his parents had people drag me away. My fake parents held me back and cried bitterly. My son, go in peace. In the future, you must serve the crown prince well. The Prime Minister's mansion will always be your home. I didn't even bother to cry. Hurry up and get it over with. Every day. It's so annoying. The Empress was extremely dissatisfied that he, her long-lost and most promising son, insisted on marrying me, a widow, and even used underhanded means to arrange my background as the daughter of her maternal clan. During the tea ceremony, she deliberately made things difficult for me. No wonder he was brought back from outside, so petty and lacking in manners. I wonder what my son sees in you. You're nothing but a seductive temptress, unbecoming of a princess. I immediately refused. Who wants to be the crown princess anyway? Xiao Zishu suddenly pulled me up from the ground. Since the Empress doesn't want to drink tea today, then so be it. Crown princess, follow me back to the palace. You need not come to the imperial palace to pay respects in the future. Then he dragged me away, leaving his mother behind, smashing plates and teacups in anger. Wicked! Wicked! I followed Xiao Zishu out, not forgetting to stick my tongue out at her. He he he. Old woman. With a daughter-in-law like me, You'll live in luxury. Your good days are yet to come.